And the U.S. has passed a grim new milestone in the pandemic. More than 225,000 Americans have now lost their lives as new cases surge across the country.
As outrage spreads over the killing of George Floyd in the U.S., protesters have taken to the streets around the world.
Chaos in America, violent clashes erupting across the country.
It was a Thursday, March 12th. I came to work, and like that whole week leading up, we'd heard a little bit, things might get shut down. We didn't really know what to expect. Our governor gave the word that as of Friday, everything was shut down, locked in. And it was surreal. I remember we finished our last clients around 5:30 and shut the door, and we had a shop meeting with the guys and say, here's what's going on. How do we want to proceed forward? And we all agreed, for the greater good, let's go ahead and close up for 2 weeks and see what happens. But I knew in the back of my head, just from my EMS experience, that I knew it wasn't going to be 2 weeks. Hi, I am Tate the Barber. I work at Comb and Scissor Barbershop here in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
There was this slow mounting dread through last, January into February of this idea coming, and knowing from news that seniors were obviously a very vulnerable population. I remember us having more and more plans at work and scrambling around to try to find PPE and to be as prepared as we could. And actually I distinctly remember us hiking, and that was like the last normal day. That was like March 8th or 9th, and then that week everything fell apart, and the closing started happening, and we started locking down at work. My name is Joel Croft. I'm the Executive Director of Memory Support Services for Country Meadows Retirement Communities.
Never in my life did I think I would be told that I could not work. Nobody could work. And I think about going into cooking or EMS or cutting hair. You think there's always going to be a job until they come along and say, nope, no one's working. And it's a wake-up call. I took it for granted, to be honest. And then you realize that when you can't do it, all you want to do is go back to work.
Earlier this week, I asked all non-essential businesses to close. I had hoped for voluntary compliance so our public safety officials could focus on assisting with the crisis. Unfortunately, we have not seen full compliance. We have no time to lose. With every minute that passes, more Pennsylvanians come into contact with the COVID-19 virus. The spread of COVID-19 is increasing at an exponential pace. We cannot allow this virus to overwhelm our hospitals.
I think Governor Wolf did a very good job, not that there weren't mistakes, and certainly with seniors, but also knowing that those mistakes is we didn't know, we didn't have information, we didn't understand.
I think in the beginning, what Governor Wolf did with the 2-week shutdown was exactly what needed to be done. And we, going forward, we still didn't have any real clear answers as to how it was spread, what kind of precautions need to be taken. So I agree with the initial shutdown, but I saw other small businesses being affected more and more, including, us ourselves.
Public health policy is like always a no-win situation. If you do the right thing and it works and people don't get sick, well, then people are like, why did this happen? We didn't even have this disease, and why did you do this? And then if it doesn't work, then you're blaming, why'd you do this? Like, why'd you lock this all down when it didn't do anything?
I understand that there's separation between state and federal. I'm not gonna sit here and think, well, Trump should have handled this, because that's why we have state government and federal government.
The worst part about our federal response was to make this a divisive fight about public health versus economics. Those two things do not have to be on opposite sides of each other, right? Like those things are together. And national response is like supporting small businesses while also supporting a public health response to caring for all the people who get sick. And really, I mean, and I know I'm very close to this and sometimes too close to this, but when we're talking about the really people that get sick, we're talking about old people.
This morning, a show of force is expected in Chicago today, where city leaders are getting ready for a day of planned, peaceful protests that could shut down one of the busiest expressways in the country.
The day that Harrisburg started protesting, I was down in Hershey giving haircuts to the Dairy Township police officers. And while I was in their station, they got dispatched for riot control down to Harrisburg. And then moments after that, they started closing all the bridges going into Harrisburg, and to see them have to go, it hit me emotionally. And then I get home and I see on the news like there's officers getting hit with bricks, and like I know a lot of these guys are getting, beat up down there, and I felt like my family, my EMS family, is being attacked, and I can't do anything about it because I'm sitting at home. There are people behind these badges, and I just want to reflect those people.
Maybe the thing that has affected me the most through this and understanding is this lie that I fundamentally believed my whole life, right? And trying to really change that now is good or bad, the things that happen to people is because they deserve it. And that is a lie that we have told ourselves in our society that has allowed us to turn our backs on the suffering of so many people.
You can say that what happened to George Floyd is wrong. I believe what happened to George Floyd is wrong. There is police brutality that happens. I'm not going to turn a blind eye and say it doesn't happen. We all know it happens. But you can have a little bit of your cup in every single thing.
We need to take action now. Coronavirus cases are on the rise. With the holidays coming, we need to be even more vigilant.
Officials warn that unless we change our behavior, we will see more cases, more hospitalizations, and more people die.
I find hope. Obviously, I find hope in my faith, but I find hope in my fellow caregivers. I find hope in people who are not falling to despair. I find hope in those people that are willing to step up and to lead.
Humanity. I think through the whole thing, I've seen, in the very beginning, I've seen the very ugly in people, like hoarding groceries, and it was just nasty out. But then as things got forward and further on, you saw people come together as a community to help one another. And to see that gives me hope that we can get through anything as long as we get through it together. And if more people can get into that mindset, we could be working well together.
The hope that we are in God's hands through this pandemic. If you're looking for a miracle, you see it every day with people that are caring, right? The nurses, the doctors, the direct care workers, those people that are reaching out. That's where our hope comes from. So that's definitely what has buoyed me through this whole time, and hopefully, God willing, will get us through the other side.